All right, Algebra 1, we are moving on to domain and range to start off Chapter 3. So we have these points. They're going to give us some points, and they may even give us this diagram, but we're going to start with the points for this example. So we have 3, -2, 4, 1, -2, 3, and 3, 5. And just a reminder, in every single point, the first number is the x value and the second number is the y value, just how x comes before y in the alphabet. So let's draw a diagram with these 4 points. We have 2 ovals over here. They could be squares, whatever. We're going to put all the x values in the left here. So we have 3, 4, -2, and another 3. So I wrote 3, 4, -2, and that same 3. Now we're going to write all of our y values in the second circle, right? So -2, 1, 3, and 5. Well, if we start at 3, where does it take us? -2. So if we start at 3, it takes us to -2. If we start at 3 here, it also takes us to 5. So this 3 also takes us to 5. -2 goes to 3 because we had the point -2, 3. We also had the point 4, 1. Now we can find domain and range fairly easy from this. Our left circle, our x circle, is our domain because domain is all the x values, and our range is just all the numbers in the right circle because the range is all the y values of our points. So the question is asked, is this a function? No, this is not a function. And why is it not a function? Because there's an x value that has more than one line stemming from it. It has more than one y values. This x value right here takes us to 2 y values. An x value can only have one line coming from it for it to be a function. Here we have domain and range in a graph. We have an open circle and then this crazy line going over here to this closed circle. So the domain is all the x values, and the x values are on the x-axis, right? And the x-axis goes all the way to the left and then all the way to the right. So we want to know how far left does this graph go, and then how far right does this graph go. The furthest left point is right here, this open circle. And where is it on the x-axis? I think it helps to draw a little dotted line right to the x-axis, and it takes us to -1. And since this was an open circle, we're going to have an open parentheses. We've talked about interval notation before. So we have open circle, open parentheses, and our furthest left point is -1 on the x-axis. Where's the furthest right point? Where does the graph go all the way to the right? Let's draw our little dotted line down to the x-axis, and we are 4 over to the right. And notice this is a closed circle, so we're going to have a closed bracket, and it takes us all the way to the right at 4 on the x-axis. So domain is the x values on the x-axis. Range is how low does the graph go to the highest point of the graph, right? So what's our lowest point? Right here on the graph, and we're using y values. So let's draw our little dots all the way to the y-axis, and that is at -1, 2, 3, and we're at an open circle. So the lowest point is an open circle, -3. Now where's the highest point? Right about here. Let's go over to the y-axis. This is a +3 and a closed circle, so a closed bracket. So domain is all the x-axis values, and the range is all the y-axis values. Last thing we got, the vertical line test. So another way, instead of looking at the points and seeing that we have x is going to 2 different y's, if we draw the graph, we can do what's called the vertical line test. So here's our function, here's our graph in blue, and our vertical line here in purple is going to be our test. If it only hits the graph once, so it only hits the blue line once right here, it is a function. If it hits the graph twice, like in this example, then it is not a function, okay? Because this x value would have 2 y values right here, so this would not be a function. Domain and range is kind of tricky. If you need help, there's plenty of videos on YouTube, or reach out and ask me.